Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Tuesday, December 27th. I'm your host, John June. This guy to my left would be Greg Penniman. Greg, how are you doing? 50% of people made it to the finals. 50% of people got eliminated. So 50% of us have a soul today, and 50% of us don't. So how are you? Do you still have a soul in your body? And are you lifeless like some of us?
For one of them, I was lifeless once Jalen Hurts was out. He's like the soul of my team. I'm sure he's the soul of a lot of semifinal teams that couldn't recover. So sorry for those people. I feel for you. That league I'm out in, but I made a Dynasty League final, so I'm playing you actually. So looking good. Definitely the hottest team right now, I would say for sure. So I'm feeling good, but yeah, fantasy is so unforgiving.
I mean, I was telling you, Greg, in regards to that dynasty matchup, I was telling you before my matchup was even done. I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm just fighting for second place right now because your team has been on a roll. You're led by the Joey B, Higgins stack, and you know it's just a dominant team right that you have right now. And I honestly, I'm just happy to be here. I'm okay with, I'm going to give it my best shot, but I've already come to terms with the fact that you're probably going to beat me, Greg. So, and the mind games are in effect.
It's like, yeah, Derek Carr mind games. I like it.
No, but, I was saying that before we got on and we were live that I'm in, I think I said five fantasy finals this year. So that's great. But the one I can't stop thinking about is the one that I didn't make the finals in, which I told you that story, and we'll get into it beforehand. When the time comes. But I deserve to be out of that finals, and we'll it's a little sneak peek into how I'm feeling right now. So if you are still watching, obviously, whether you have been eliminated or not, we just recommend that you do keep watching. So make sure you comment, like, subscribe, get those notifications, whether you're watching us live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. But Greg, it is a week 16 week recap. We, for the second time all year, are doing a recap on a Tuesday. So we're going to do this recap here, and that means we get to talk about all the games, and we get to talk about how awesome Justin Herbert was last night. Oh wait, just kidding. Anyway,
you got 200 yards though. That's what I'm talking about. 200 yards.
Baby. I don't think. I mean, yes, that's great for your Super Boost, Greg, but I feel like a lot of fantasy managers are saying that wasn't good enough.
No, it wasn't.
That's not what they expected.
No, it wasn't for sure.
But we're gonna talk about him. Just not talk about him in this segment, because this segment is reserved for the quarterback swags here, Greg. And so the number one quarterback on the week would be Dak Prescott. He 27-35, 347 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Did add 41 rushing yards on 6 rush attempts, which we haven't seen that from Dak in a while. But 28 total fantasy points there in semifinals week. Greg, what were your thoughts on the performance here by Dak Prescott?
Yeah, man, this was an excellent performance by Dak. Probably the best game of the weekend. That game just was going back and forth from the moment it started. You felt that it was going to be that shootout type vibe once I guess CeeDee Lamb scored again. Devontae Smith was going back scoring. Like it was a great game. Dak got it to his people, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb. So yeah, it was an excellent game. Obviously, Dak's games, when he blow up games, come when he's playing in these shootout type games. So it was good that he was able to get one here.
Yeah, it was definitely a back and forth nature to this game. I selfishly was hoping that the Eagles would tie it and then miss the extra point so we could get some overtime. because I needed some fantasy points. But yeah, the back and forth nature of this game was definitely great for fantasy purposes. And if you rode out Dak these last couple weeks, you definitely are, happy with the outcome here. Let's move on to the number 2 quarterback on the week, and that would be Jared Goff. Did it outdoors, 25 of 42, 355 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 rush attempts for 15 rushing yards, 25.7 fantasy points. I mean, I was not in favor of playing Jared Goff in this week, but them being down very, very big early led to comeback mode, and we saw Jared Goff, attempt 42 pass attempts here, finish as a QB2 on the week. Greg, what do you think of this performance here by Goff?
Yeah, this is kind of like how last year for his season kind of went, and earlier this season where Detroit wasn't a very good team, getting blown out early, and all his points would come in like garbage time and late time touchdowns. But yeah, this didn't expect the early result, but then yeah, the game script kind of controlled his first day. So fortunate for that for sure. That comes sometimes when are on a bad team and you get this opportunity to kind of just put up points.
Yeah, and the other thing that I didn't like about this matchup was that Carolina's pass defense is pretty good, but we recently find out that J.C. Horn is going to be out for foreseeable future here with a broken wrist, so that's definitely not great there. As well as some other injuries that popped up this week, but yeah, great performance by Goff. The home road splits were definitely something that was concerning heading into this game in terms of outdoors, being outdoors versus being at home in that dome. But it, again, didn't matter here with Goff this week. So great performance. And moving on to the QB3 on the week, man, this guy again just been carrying you. If you've been playing him, that's Kirk Cousins, man. I mean, 34, 48, 299 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, added 2 rushing yards on 1 attempt, 24.2 fantasy points there. Greg, what do you think of this performance of Kirk Cousins against your New York Giants?
Yeah, man, definitely attacking the weaknesses of the Giants defense, which is, that tight end position for sure. Most of that getting to Hockenson, making some great plays to him. And then, of course, down a stretch, getting to Justin Jefferson when he needed to. Kirk Cousins, saving the day, getting him in the playoffs. And yeah, it was a great game.
Yeah, definitely. There's some Kirk Cousins MVP, rumblings going on. People want Kirk Cousins to be in the MVP candidate. And see, I said it, but he's up there. You make that face, but he's up there in terms of, the passing yards and the completion percentage and, passing touchdowns, fourth quarter comebacks. I mean, anything you want, Kirk Cousins is delivering it right now. And, people are going to make the argument Justin Jefferson, but there's a guy in the same division as Kirk Cousins who won a couple MVPs thrown to a guy named Devontae Adams. So, I don't know why Kirk Cousins can't get that same respect when his team is 12-3 and, in a hunt for the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, it's probably because the 3 losses were so ugly. And also, if you have the most comebacks, that means you were down a lot during the first 3 quarters. So, like, you have to do those things to get there. And also, the next guy you're going to, not name, but Patrick Mahomes, man. A guy named Patrick.
Yeah, a guy named Patrick. I'm just saying a vote, right? Vote. It can't, like, a vote.
Sure, he'll get a vote.
But that defense, though, is terrible, right? Minnesota's defense is really bad.
It's terrible. Yeah, it is. It's terrible.
So that's what's going on to get down in the first 3 quarters. His defense just isn't showing up. But anyway, moving on through the quarterback swags, man. Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback 4, Joe Burrow 5, Josh Allen 6. I'm going to hit this one for this because Gardner Minshew, my quarterback stream of the week, comes in at 7. Sam Darnold, who we both shouted out as another potential streaming option, came in as 8. Daniel Jones comes in at 9. Trevor Lawrence 10, Mac Jones 11, and then Baker Mayfield coming in as the quarterback 12. Greg, what do you think of these QB swag performances?
Yeah, anyone who was able to pivot to Minshew or Darnold in like a late situation where Hurts getting hurt, that was clutch for you guys. I'm glad those two came through. Daniel Jones as well, but we knew that this was a very good matchup for him, knowing Minnesota's defense being trash. And yeah, Baker Mayfield again, finding his way kind of back into the NFL, like into, like destroying, literally. I mean, not surprised. The team they destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, Denver got totally embarrassed, and this is a good defense. So this isn't about, like, I feel like this is more of, and I alluded this earlier in the season. At what point does this defense say, like, screw it, right? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we what are we busting our butts for, right?
Yeah.
Like, when the offense can't even score 17, 18 points, right? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, they literally can't. Like 20 is a high threshold for them.
20. And then now, head coach Nathaniel Hackett gets fired on Monday, right? Doesn't even make it through, doesn't even get to coach his 16th game of his NFL head coaching career. And it's an interesting dynamic because that means ownership and company, they're hitching their wagon to Russell Wilson, which, in previous years is not something that you could say is a bad thing, but this is a different year right now. And Russell Wilson's, the expectations have kind of changed here, with him. One of the names I've seen floated around by, media and whatnot is Sean Payton, which I think that's an interesting, very, very interesting fit. You get him in here to be able to work with Russell Wilson. Obviously we know what he was able to do with Drew Brees. Granted it's Drew Brees, and Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, different type style of quarterbacks, but Russell Wilson can work from the pocket, and I think Sean Payton can definitely work with him, and probably we see it improved Russell Wilson. Is this wishful thinking, Greg?
It's crazy improved. Like, this man is a former like MVP candidate. Like, it's crazy. So I would hope get back to vintage Russell Wilson just 2 years ago. But like, I just always foresee Sean Payton. Like, I feel like he belongs in Dallas. Like, that's what like.
I mean,
Dallas is gonna play Tampa. Tampa's gonna beat them in the wild card. Sean McCarthy's out. And here comes Sean Payton. He's already assembling the staff. I heard rumors of that. So yeah. So I think I feel like it's gonna happen. But yeah, I think Denver's a good spot too, though. I agree.
Definitely. All right, so let's shout out an honorable mention, and there's only one honorable mention because after the quarterback 12, it pretty much just Baker Mayfield 17.4 points. It pretty much plummeted after that, and the next guy you get is Brock Purdy. Who's in a class of his own here, in the honorable mention section at 15.9. He's a guy that has played well through his 4 games and his 3 starts, and has a great matchup coming up in championship week against the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, what do you think of the performance here by Brock Purdy? But what do you obviously, I think, is he a guy that we're going to talk about in the waiver section?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just these last 4 weeks, he's been a name I mentioned, just being that solid streaming option, that right around that high in QB2, maybe borderline QB1 player. So I would expect that next week against Vegas, but I think the upside could be a little higher here. So he definitely is an option. But yeah, you already know someone magic's coming back, so you might need him for the championship week.
Someone's magic is coming back.
No, someone magic is coming back. Yes. Magic Mike White, baby. Let's go, baby.
Okay. I was right over my head.
Nah, sorry, Magic Mike Mike, yo.
Magic Mike White. Yep,
he's back.
Right over my head. He's back. He's back. But we got to talk about the Jags because there was quite a few, including 2 quarterback starts of the week here in Geno Smith and Aaron Rodgers. That the Geno Smith one was tough because you felt like, given the game script, that there should be a lot of passing here, but it's just no Tyler Lockett, Marquise Goodwin, who I know we both liked as a potential play. He left the game early, goose egg. So there was really no like other passing options outside of DK Metcalf there. So it was really tough for Geno Smith. And Aaron Rodgers was victim of
The run game, yeah.
run game and Tua turned the ball over. That was trending on. I don't know if you saw that, Greg, on Twitter. So yeah, I mean, when Tua turns the ball over like that, then
Yo, that's too good.
It's so good. When Aaron Rodgers is getting these short fields, the run game is obviously going to be prevalent in those situations. And Tua actually does end up in concussion protocol, self-reported himself, with symptoms. I don't want to make fun of Tua's
Yeah, I was
concussions,
just about to be like, that's.
I really don't want to make fun of the concussions.
That's so weird. Okay, we got it though. We're here though. We're on the same wavelength. Sure.
Oh man. Okay. All right. And then a weekly, staple on the Jags list is Tom Brady. Like, what are we doing?
We're not playing him.
Okay, we're saying that, right? We're not playing him because I've been saying it all year.
No matter what. Yeah, he's
been outside my top 20 all season. Like, I have not been able to rank him inside the top 20.
Yeah, no, there's too many other good options, and they play Carolina next week. Assuming that a divisional game, I think that's going to be low scoring no matter what. Like, even if Carolina's defense it has injuries. You got Purdy, you got Minshew again if they decide to continue to play him, Mike White. So yeah, there's options.
And then Justin Fields also ends up on this list. Thought that he would stay as a quarterback one based on his rushing usage, but the Bills limited him and his ability to run in this game. It didn't seem like they were willing to let him, beat them that way, and they were going to force him to beat them from the pocket. Obviously it kind of sucks. Going to throw this one game out, but I expect Fields to bounce back next week.
Yeah, I think Fields is too good of a talent, too good of like a fantasy asset at this point to not think he can bounce back.
Definitely. Let's move on to these running back swags, Greg. And the number one running back on the week, this guy saved my fantasy championship or my fantasy season here in our dynasty league. Cam Akers, man, 23 carries, $118, 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 29 receiving yards. Baker Mayfield had a great day. Fantastic. So did Tyler Higbee, who we'll talk about later. But I did say if there was one player to play from the Rams side, it was Cam Akers, just because Denver has been a terrible run defense all season. And, Cam Akers definitely came through. Again, 34.7 PPR points. Greg, what do you think of this performance here by Akers?
Yeah, big time here during this week. I mean, he's just come full circle. This man was a day from being cut from his team, and now he's finishing as the RB1, best RB performance on the week, arguably. So yeah, this is a great job from him, and he definitely, can be a use for championship week. I think they got the Chargers next week. We know how weak their rush defense is, so trending up 3 of the last 4 weeks over in double digits. So I think he's definitely a play.
Yeah, man, they might as well start calling this man Playoff Cam because he did this. I mean, last year he came back for the playoffs specifically, where he was coming back from the Achilles, wasn't very good. But his rookie season, remember, he had done nothing like the whole year. Has that monster game on Thursday Night Football, that led people, either into the championship week or his first round of playoffs or something like that. But definitely a great performance, and like you said, against the Chargers next week, I think we play him again. Moving on to the RB2 on the week, Saquon Barkley saving his best for when you might have needed it most. 14 carries, 84 rushing yards. Got that one rushing touchdown late, which pretty much put the nail in the coffin for my fantasy team. But 8 carries, 8 catches on 10 targets, 49 receiving yards, 27.3 PPR points. Again, after a string of like disappointing performances and a little bit of a bounce back last week, this was definitely the type of performance that we were seeing early in the year from Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, man, definitely pulled through here late. Washington was able to get it done. Now Minnesota. So yeah, it was great back-to-back weeks from Saquon carrying this offense as he's done all year. So yeah, it's been pretty good. I think he's for offense player of the year, he should definitely get some votes.
Yeah, he's definitely had one of his best seasons. I think this is his second best season, if outside of his rookie year.
Oh yeah, definitely playing. He's healthy. That's mainly
that's
the thing.
the big thing, right? With Saquon. Moving on to the RB3 on the week, and we get another start of the week here. Playoff Lenny, 20 carries, 72 rushing yards, 9 catches on 10 targets, 90 receiving yards. Got it. I'll be completely honest. I fell asleep during this game, so I don't even know what happened. I just saw that the Bucks won in overtime.
It was a great game. Well, a great game in the fourth quarter because classic Tampa this year. They need to go down big to really wake up. Seems like.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing the 4-10 Trace McSorley led Arizona Cardinals, sure,
great
most
fourth quarter.
definitely.
I mean, 3 weeks ago, they were down 16-3 to the Andy Dalton led Saints and got it done. They got it done.
All of that to lose to Sam Darnold this week.
Yo, man. Nah. They'll be down like 20-3.
Nah, bro. I need Carolina to win this division. I need to see it. I need to see Carolina win this division after having fired their head coach, starting going through like 3 different quarterbacks, getting rid of Christian McCaffrey, and I need to see Sam Darnold in a playoff game. I just need to see all of it.
Man.
But Greg, what do you think of his performance here by playoff Lenny?
Yeah, playoff Lenny
fantasy playoffs
coming through. Great matchup. Getting it done in the passing game. He's being done in the passing game a lot this year. 10 targets this game. So you love to see that for sure. That's big time right there. He should continue to get it done. Tom Brady, that was showing his average depth of target. His average air yards was 7 this year, all year. So Leonard Fournette's going to thrive from that.
Yeah, I also heard a stat the other day that of Chris Godwin's 80-something receptions.
50, 60 of them were behind the line of scrimmage or something like that. Yeah, I'm like, what? Are you serious? Yo, that's crazy.
Oh, man. All right, Greg, let's round out these running back swags.
Like a better Juju that year and when he was with Pittsburgh, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, man. It's like a tight end.
Yeah.
Like a fullback. Rounding out these top 12s, James Conner, running back 4, Austin Eckler 5, Deontay Foreman coming in at 6, Devin Singletary 7, Alvin Kamara 8, Derrick Henry 9, James Cook tying with Joe Mixon for 10, and then Tyler Algier coming in as running back 12. Greg, what do you think of these top 12 performances here?
Eckler again coming up big time. Just when you thought Chuba Hubbard had this backfield again, Deontay Foreman, it's just the story of the year between the two, really. That's really what it comes down to.
Within even the same game, you're like, oh, Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
And then Foreman's just like, nope, I'm still here.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, good performance from him. Good performance from the Buffalo running backs, especially James Cook. Though he was dead, and he came back with a good performance here. So yeah, it was nice.
Okay, so now for the pain that I have to share. I shared it with you, Greg, but in one of my It is literally my longest standing league. We have had this. It's my league with my college friends. We've had this league for like 12 years, and
Whew.
I have made it to the finals. I think 5 or 6 times, or this would have been my 5th time going, and I didn't follow my own advice because earlier in the week, Greg, what did we say? We were doing the waivers last Monday, and we were talking about Tyler Algier versus Zach Moss versus Deion Jackson. And we were trying to figure out who's going to get the role between Zach Moss and Deion Jackson. And I said, well, that just makes me believe you should just play Tyler Algier. Just pick him up and play him. And I was able in that league, because I had Jonathan Taylor, I was able to get all 3 of them, Greg. All 3 of
Yeah,
them.
I think you said you were going to be able to do that too.
Yeah. And I got all 3. And so as I'm looking through the matchups, I'm like, the matchup doesn't look so great. And I was looking at this, the matchup against Baltimore didn't look so great. I was looking at the snap counts with Cordero Patterson in the last game. Didn't even know Cordero Patterson had played more snaps than Tyler Algier. So I'm just going through all this stuff. And then my opponent has both Michael Pittman and Mike Williams. So I was like, oh, let me get this in-game stack, So basically, I talked myself out of playing Tyler Algier, talked myself into playing Deion Jackson, who was the worst, the wrong running back to play in the Indianapolis Colts because Jordan Wilkins was getting snaps ahead of him. So I was just tilting all game, just tilting the whole game. And, for those that took the advice and played Tyler Algier, I'm happy for you. And I deserve everything that I got by not being in the fantasy playoff.
Yeah, I mean, great week by him. We were saying that 4 for 43 really, really saved his day. Got him in that RB1 range. It's a tough situation, man. On Monday night, too, last possible game, so you're just waiting all week, thinking about your decision that you just made, watching Tyler Algier games. That's the worst type of situation right there.
Oh, it was. You know what, Greg? I had gotten over it. I had come to terms with it because, like I said, I went into Monday night down up 8, thinking like, okay, there's 0% chance like I'm gonna win this game.
Got you. Okay.
So I'm over it. But what kept getting me was seeing like you have like getting the alerts like from different fantasy outlets and things and on Twitter, and it's like you have to do whatever you can to get Tyler Algier on your fantasy team this week. Like he's the hot waiver wire pickup, and I would have already had him in a cake matchup against Arizona in championship week where I would have felt great. Yeah, so that's out of the way. That's the one loss that's on my mind of the the 5 championships that I'm going to this season or this year. But Greg, let's talk about some honorable mentions. Najee Harris, Rashad White, Travis Etienne. Your running back start of the week, Jerick McKinnon, also still continuing his solid performances as the RB18. Anybody else you want to shout out as as some honorable mentions?
No, I mean, again, those Dallas running backs both finishing in the top 20. I think just shows that Zeke had a rough start, but yeah, he definitely came through with his ADP, and Pollard as well shot through his ADP as well. I think both these guys can have a role in the future if they keep him.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting decision that they have to make because Tony Pollard's a free agent, and I'm sure that somebody will be willing to pay him. All right, let's move on to the running back Jags. And unfortunately, there are some big names on this list, some guys that were performing for you all season, or even guys that you spent high draft capital on, like Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones. Those are guys that you took round 1, maybe the top of round 2, and they just didn't come through this week. Aaron Jones finished, I think he scored like 4 PPR points, while Dalvin Cook ended up with just under 11 PPR points. What do you think of these performances by these two guys?
Yeah, tough seeing that from them. Along with Josh Jacobs, like Miles Sanders, J.K. Dobbins, those guys too.
Yeah, I was gonna bring those guys up next too, because those guys were guys that you kind of got a discount on.
Yeah.
In draft season, and then you've just been basically just riding them all year. But in what's probably amounted to the biggest moment of your fantasy season,
Yeah.
Neither one of them showed up for you.
Yeah, I'm sure
So it was
Miles.
definitely
Yeah,
tough.
Josh Jacobs was definitely on a lot of semifinal teams or first round teams, so for sure. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean the Miles Sanders one, you probably felt lucky if you made it through last week because last week was a down
Mm-hmm.
performance from him as well. And for some reason, I don't feel like Miles Sanders is the backbones of a lot of teams, but I could be wrong there. Where Josh Jacobs, they were going a similar price range, but maybe that's just bias on my part, but. Yeah, I don't know. Josh Jacobs has been like the RB1 though,
Yeah,
pretty much for a
yeah,
large stretch of the year. So I
yeah,
think that one kind of hurts more.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to wide receivers. And the number one wide receiver on the week, CD Lamb, 10 catches, 11 targets, 120 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, that 34 PPR points. That touchdown that he had where he just like spun on the safety was like, I don't know. It was like one of the dopest touchdowns to me. Just like didn't like just you like that's something he just felt, right? Like he just knew the safety was there.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna come flying over the top and then just like casually just spun inside, but he made it look so smooth. What do you think of the performance here by CD Lamb on his 2 touchdown day?
Yeah, killer man. I mean, Dak found his number one guy all day. You know, he was getting targeted heavily throughout the game. So it was great. It was great to see a big time performance like this here late in the season. He's been even doing this late in the season as well. So it's pretty good. I'm glad to see him get these big time performances.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, CD Lamb obviously he's one of those guys that I don't think there's a lot like obviously everybody knows CD Lamb is great. But I felt like, from the moment when he was coming out, I was always like he's the number 2 wide receiver in the draft, I used to argue that I would take him over Jerry Judy, and things like that. And then, even last year I had him ranked high and he didn't come through. And this year I had him ranked high and Dak Prescott goes down and it looked like it was going to be, poor year for him, but he just picked it up. And then in this Eagles game, the thing I thought was interesting was he was just killing them in the first half, like just chopping them up. And then you think like, all right, there's no way that he's going to do that again in the second half because they're going to go in there and they're going to make their adjustments and they're going to stop him. It's just like, nope. He came back out of the second half and just kept tearing them up. So gotta love that. And I think going forward, you definitely got to feel confident about CD Lamb in your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the wide receiver 2 on the week. That would be Devontae Smith, man. 8 catches, 12 targets, 113 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 31.3 PPR points on the day. Greg, what do you think of the performance here by Devontae Smith, who in the same game as CD Lamb here?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of statements you can really make about him. He's probably arguably the best value at wide receiver for ADP this year, and everyone's panicking after that week 1, but he's really come through all year. He's probably the number. He's going to finish higher than AJ Brown on the year as far as fantasy points. He performed like the wide receiver 1 on this team and as a wide receiver 1 this year all season. So it's really really good year for Devontae and a really good week for Devontae.
Yeah, definitely. I almost everyone because I remember not panicking.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's actually funny that you say that because he has been a value. I have not a dynasty team, a keeper team where I was able to draft both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I don't have Jalen Hurts, but I just have the 2 of them, and every week I would, essentially play both of them, or sometimes I would play. If I ever sat one, I always sat Devontae. But this week I was like, yeah, I kind of wish I played you, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Didn't matter, but like you said, he's been a great value, and tying with Devontae Smith for the wide receiver 2 on the week. Probably not a value because you had to spend up to get him. And I remember, Greg, you and I were heavy proponents of taking him as high as you possibly could, as high as the number 3 pick. And if you did that, it's probably been working out for you. That would be Justin Jefferson, 16 targets, 12 catches, 133 receiving yards, and a touchdown reception, 31.3 PPR points on the day. Again, tying as the number 2 wide receiver on the week with Devontae Smith. Greg, what'd you make of the performance here by Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's been when you need it most. He's really been coming through. He's had 3 straight 30-point performances, at least 15 targets in the last 3 games. Those are monster numbers. That even consistently just putting up these insane numbers. So it's good to see him get it done here. Doesn't matter who they play. They got Green Bay next week, but I'm definitely not worried.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay means he's probably going to be matched up with Jair Alexander, who had probably one of the funniest post-game interviews talking about Tua, his interception on Tua. But anyway, Justin Jefferson just absolutely been balling. He broke Randy Moss's single-season record for receiving yards in a single
In 15
season
games.
in 15 games. He's on pace currently. He just needs 8 receiving yards to break Calvin Johnson's single season NFL record, which I don't know. He's at 1756. So if I calculate her out, 1964. So I think he needs 209 to break it because I think 1964 is the record. So then that would mean that he would need 200 and what did I say? He needs he's at 209. So then he would need 36. Sorry, I can't do quick math in my head right now. He would need 245 receiving yards to get 2,000.
I think he could do it.
I think he could do it over the next 2 games. I don't care if he does it in 17 games because I know that's going to be an argument. I just want to see a 2,000-yard receiver.
Hopefully Philly can get a loss. If Minnesota thinks they can try to get the 1 seed, then they'll go for it. But maybe in week 18, but we'll see.
Yeah. He's one of the best receivers in football. It's just he's a pleasure to watch, man.
He's top 3.
Let's move on to the wide receiver swags. The remaining wide receiver swags. On wide receiver 4 in the week, T. Higgins, 5, Jalen Waddle, 6, Kendrick Bourne, 7, Isaiah Hodgins, 8, Greg Dortch, 9, Keenan Allen, 10, Jacoby Myers, 11, DJ Moore, and 12, Jahan Dotson. Greg, what'd you make of these wide receiver performances?
Yeah, some good performances here. T. Higgins coming through again. When healthy, he's been really big time for Joe Burrow. All these young guys, Waddle, Greg Dortch coming back full circle, and the 2 Patriots receivers definitely a shock here that they both got in the top 12. And then Isaiah Hodgins, I think for people in Dynasty, and for now just going into next year, I think he's a name that can creep up or be a sleeper for next year if he can be the role is open for a Giants number 1 receiver, and I think he's got the talent for it.
This is upsetting, this Isaiah Hodgins talk, because just when I have fully committed to Darius Slayton, Greg, just when I fully commit, here comes another guy just to take all the shine, right? I was talk about tilting. Anyway, yeah. That just reminded me that if I had played Isaiah Hodgins over Darius Slayton, that I probably would have won my matchup too. So there goes that. Or if all those points just went to Darius Slayton, they should have. I don't know. What do I know? Anyway, rounding out these honorable mentions here. Trenton Irwin, Terry McLaurin, Jerry Jeudy, who you were really high on coming in this week. So kudos to you guys if you listen to Greg there. And George Pickens, he's back. Any other honorable mentions? Anybody that stuck out to you, Greg? You want to shout out here?
Not Jahan Dotson. I think he's been playing a little well down the stretch. Last 3 weeks he's got over 15 points. So he's been double. He's been big time. So I think he's a hot name that you got to continue to play.
Does that change if the quarterback changes?
Yes, it does. I think so. A little bit, yeah, for sure. Definitely
Well, I
impactful.
don't know because I feel like earlier in the season, Jahan Dotson was the one. Oh no, it was Curtis Samuel that was getting targets
Yeah,
constantly.
but Dotson was getting involved too, though. That's true.
It was just Terry McLaurin not getting the football.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. And then just like running backs, man, there was some guys at the wide receiver position, or sorry, uh, Jags at the wide receiver position. Unfortunately, were some guys that you were really counting on. Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. I put Jamar Chase on here because he finished outside the top 24. Um,
Yeah, those are three huge names. Like
yeah,
everyone. Yeah, a lot of teams have them on team. So
yeah.
yeah.
Darius Slayton, my wide receiver start of the week. He was outside the top 30. I know Chris Godwin was your wide receiver start of the week. He was wide receiver 24. Garrett Wilson, who if you were playing him, you started out the week with Garrett Wilson. That was terrible.
Oh my
Like
gosh, you start off
five,
with any Jets player.
any Jets player was just terrible.
It was terrible, man.
Oh, you had Zach Wilson, didn't you?
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, I couldn't get the
Oh.
bid. I put in the bid for Minshew, didn't get him. Should have just got Sam Darnold, honestly. Just roll with that.
Oh man, that must have sucked. There was like you
I mean,
just
I had
sat there.
Devontae too. I don't think it would have helped. I had Devontae on that
Oh,
team. Yeah, it was bad.
oh,
I had Ramondre Stevenson, who was another
oh.
RB
I
Jag.
forgot
Yeah,
we didn't
we
even talk
forgot to
about
mention
him.
him, yo.
Oh,
Ramondre Stevenson all year, man, all year. Yeah,
oh,
so that team really did not do well.
oh man,
Yeah,
that sucks.
yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the tight end swags, man. The number one tight end on the week. Just when I soured on you after turning around TJ Hawkinson. 13 catches, 16 targets, 2 touchdowns, 109 receiving yards, 35.9 PPR points on the day. Greg, what did you make of the performance here by TJ Hawkinson?
Yeah, TJ Hawkinson balled like in a huge way in this game. Had that really good game with that Seattle game. I think it's his best game of the year for sure. And yeah, he made some great catches. He was just open all the time. They had no answer for him. So it was a good matchup.
Yeah, that one was good. Sorry, man. I just keep thinking about how this just impacted all the emotions of my fantasy matchup are just coming back again right now because my opponent had Kirk Cousins, I had Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, so I was just hoping for just Justin Jefferson touchdowns, ideally Dalvin Cook touchdowns, or ideally a Dalvin Cook to Justin Jefferson touchdown is what I was really hoping for. But yeah, Hawkinson had a fantastic day here. If you been playing him, it's been an up and down year, but he saved his best for this moment right here when you needed it. So, like you said, outside of the Seattle game, this was his second best game, or was
Mm-hmm.
this his second best game? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Seattle game. Those touchdowns really came in a big way.
Yeah.
I think he had two that day. Yeah. Oh, he had two today too. Oh well.
All right, moving on to the tight end 2 on the week. And this one I feel like I should have seen coming. Not the tight end 2 performance, but just like a tight end 1 performance, just because there was literally no one else to throw the football to. Tyler Higbee for the LA Rams, 11 targets, 9 catches, 94 receiving yards, 2 touchdown catches there, 30.4 PPR points on the day. Greg, what'd you make of the performance here by Tyler Higbee?
Yeah, Tyler Higbee coming through. Had a nice beginning of the year, but now good to see him come through late in the season. Maybe as a streaming option for some people there. So yeah, it was definitely a good performance for a lot of the Rams pieces this week.
Definitely. Again, he was the only option there, and it seemed like at one point they were just most of the pass plays were just being called for Higbee at that point. So again, if you went against Tyler Higbee, that sucks. But if you started Tyler Higbee, that's great for you. That's awesome. The tight end 3 on the week. I don't know, man. It's either Brock Purdy just absolutely loves him, or the absence of Deebo Samuel is just creating all these opportunities. But whatever it is, just keep doing it. George Kittle, we love it when you're the top 3 tight end in fantasy. 6 catches, 8 targets, 120 receiving yards, 2 touchdown receptions there. That would be the 30 PPR points there again for a tight end 3 performance by George Kittle. Greg, what do you think on the performance here by George Kittle?
Yeah, Kittle coming through in the playoff time. I mean, after those week 3 performances, I think the Deebo Samuel injury really impacted him a lot. Getting 8 targets in this one, a second, third highest on the season. So, yeah, he definitely is balling for Brock Purdy. Got Vegas and Arizona. You can't script it any better for ending schedule for a tight end.
Yeah, definitely love that schedule, and I feel like I'm going to start a controversy here with my touchdown or not tight end of the week, because I feel like Greg wants it to be somebody, but the person that I actually picked is going to not be that person. So I'm just going to go ahead and announce it. Touchdown or not tight end of the week this week is New Orleans Saints tight end Taysom Hill.
Let's go.
Because, you're happy with this?
I mean, I didn't really have a thought about who I wanted it. Usually I do, but this week, yeah, I didn't. But I'm always happy for Taysom Hill to have success.
This one, so I could have. The other guy I thought you would have wanted me to go with would have been Shane Zylstra, who imagine scoring 3 touchdowns as a tight end and not being the tight end 1 on the week.
Yeah, because of 5 for 26.
Yeah, 5 for 26.
All in the red zone.
So I could have gone Shane
Lewis
Zylstra.
too.
Could have gone Mercedes Lewis. But the reason why I went Taysom Hill here is because, uncommon to most of the other touchdown or not tight ends of the week, somebody probably started Taysom Hill. Somebody did it, and it came through in a game like this with the weather being the way it was. They went to the Taysom Hill package often. 9 rush attempts, 56 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. 11.6 PPR points on the day. He doesn't get that rushing touchdown. He's basically useless to you there at 5.6 points. So still, if you take the touchdowns away from Zylstra and you take the touchdown away from Taysom Hill, Zylstra still outscores Taysom Hill here. So again, Taysom Hill deserving of the touchdown or not tight end of the week. And if you started him, definitely came through for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, 3 straight weeks with at least 10 points. So he's been somewhat consistent down the stretch.
Rounding out these top 12 tight ends, the tight end 4 on the week was the aforementioned Shane Zylstra. 5, Evan Ingram. 6, Travis Kelce. 7, Greg Dulcich. 8, Greg's tight end start of the week, Pat Freiermuth. 9, Dawson Knox. 10, the touchdown or not tight end of the week, Taysom Hill. 11, Mercedes Lewis. And 12, Darren Waller. Greg, do any of these top 12 performances stick out to you?
Greg Dulcich coming through for sure is nice. Evan Ingram been really closing out the season in a big way. He looked like he could not be guarded by that Jets defense. That was really the main takeaway I had from that game for sure. Yeah, he's been running. He's been money. He's been really money the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, the other part with you mentioned Evan Ingram. The one picture that's sticking out of my brain consistently, I can't unsee it, is Evan Ingram just running away from Sauce Gardner. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, no, that was on drag, just a regular.
Yeah, just a regular drag route.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram just comes up, just gives him a little move.
Yep,
just runs right across. He was gone, and Sauce could not keep up with him. And I was like, "Holy crap, Evan Ingram is fast."
Yeah. He was always with the Giants. His strength was he plays like a wide receiver at the tight end position. He just couldn't catch the ball, but he's at the kind of sort of revenge game for him in MetLife, back in MetLife.
In MetLife, right? He probably felt like he was back at MetLife playing for the Giants again.
Yeah.
All right. Don't think I have anything else that sticks out. We just got to talk about tight end Jags, and my tight end start of the week is a Jag, Mark Andrews. Greg, what are we doing with Mark Andrews? There's no expectation that we're going to get Lamar Jackson back. I mean, I think the Ravens are definitely holding out hope, but it doesn't seem likely. And I think that they've already clinched a playoff spot, if I'm not mistaken. So uh, there's no real incentive for them to play Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's again still the tight end position, but yeah, it would be hard for me to find play Mark Andrews in championship week if you got to this point with them. Um, it would be tough. Yeah, I think you can maybe find some more consistent options right now at that time position. Mainly just Taysom Hill, really. I think.
Oh man, Taysom Hill. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do at this point, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's championship week. There's no like, oh, I got to play this guy or I got to play that guy. You know, I was walking up today thinking about in a championship game. A few years ago, I was playing Sam Darnold, Elijah McGuire, and Robbie Anderson. I went with a triple jet stack in championship week, and it worked out. But again, I say that to say, like, we're not here to play names. We're here to win championships.
yeah.
So if Mark Andrews isn't getting it done, he's not, right. Like, go get the guy out there that's going to get you that championship. So let's move on to news and injuries. And as we mentioned at the top, Tua Tagovailoa entered concussion protocol on Monday after self-reporting symptoms. Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers, he was day-to-day after leaving Sunday's game with a hip injury. Hunter Henry, he's day-to-day with a knee injury. Quarterback Lamar Jackson, who previously talked about, still questionable for Week 17. Tyler Lockett, he's also questionable for Week 17 with that finger injury. Philadelphia right tackle Lane Johnson is expected to miss the remainder of the regular season with an abdomen injury, should be back in time for the playoffs. And then this one is big news. If you survived Jalen Hurts' shoulder injury, he could potentially play in Week 17, given the fact that Philadelphia lost. Had they won, they would have clinched the 1 seed and the bye, and Hurts would have definitely been out for the remainder of the regular season. But now, with the bye being in question, Hurts is pushing to play, so that's something that the Eagles are going to have to make a decision on this week. Again, I've always recommended this philosophy when it comes to players like Jalen Hurts. Just assume he's not going to play. If you assume he's not going to play, then you can make the necessary contingencies, and if he does play, then you just put him in your lineup. And then the last one here is Mike White, as you talked about, Magic Mike White, cleared to start in Week 17, returning from the rib injury here. So it's definitely a boost to the Jets offense and their playoff hopes, and Garrett Wilson and basically anybody in a Jets uniform who you potentially want to look to for fantasy value. And then the last note that I have here, not injury related, but Greg, have you heard about the situation between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans?
No, I'm not.
So essentially, their Week 17 game this week does not matter. Whatever happens goes out the window, doesn't matter, because the winner of their division, because Jacksonville won against the Jets last week and Tennessee lost to Houston, the winner of their Week 18 game, regardless of what happens in Week 17, will make the NFL playoffs. So there's real possibility here that both of these teams could potentially sit players and rest players in Week 17 with the idea of like, hey, our playoffs don't start until Week 18. So definitely something to take note of here if you are a Derrick Henry manager, if you are a Trevor Lawrence manager. Basically, if you're counting on any of these, these Jacksonville slash Tennessee Titan pieces.
Yeah, that's tough, especially for Trevor Lawrence, who's been hot. Travis Etienne, who's been playing a little better of late. Um, so yeah, it'd be definitely interesting to see what you guys can do.
Yeah, again, just make contingency plans, assume that they won't play, and then you'll be good to go there. But Greg, let's talk about waivers. What's going on there? Let's start at the quarterback position. Who do we like this week?
Yeah, definitely with the news about Jalen Hurts, seeing that the Eagles, weren't able to get the win. I think Gardner Minshew though is still an option if assuming that he's not playing. He's 21% rostered. I think you saw what he can do. You saw what he does in his past. He can be a guy that can put up numbers, and that was the case here. So I think there's no reason that he can put up QB1 performances for the next 2 weeks. Brock Purdy and then Mike White are the next two names I'm thinking of. I think, of course, Mike White has the higher upside than a Brock Purdy, 17% rostered. Mike White is, so go get him now. He's got great matchups, as we were saying, down the stretch. And Brock Purdy, if you need a safe floor, I think a quarterback that's going to get you, again, that QB 13, maybe a 12 spot, he's the guy.
Definitely in agreement with those. I think Brock Purdy probably has the best matchup of the three going up against Vegas. But like you said, he probably has the safer floor there. If you're looking for upside, Mike White and Gardner Minshew probably have that. Another name I'll throw out, deeper leagues, but Sam Darnold, 7% rostered. Tampa Bay's pass defense going into week 15 or week 16 rather, they allowed I have it here. They allowed the ninth most fantasy points to the quarterback position. So over their last 3 games. So Sam Darnold, must win against Tampa Bay. I think in a deeper league, 2 quarterback leagues could be an option for you.
Yeah.
Greg, what about running back? What do we got there?
Running back, I got 3 names. Tyler Algier, I think he's number 1 option, 49% rostered. He's going to obviously get the most work on the Atlanta Falcons for sure, continuing down the stretch as a team that wants to run the ball. Chuba Hubbard, 38% rostered. Dante Foreman had himself a day, but Chuba Hubbard, also had a decent day as well. So I think both those guys on the team that want to continue to also run the ball, I think they both are going to continue to be used against a decent matchup against the Choice Rush defense. They played well. And then lastly, for deeper leagues, if you need some depth, if you're desperate at running back, Zach Moss, 44% rostered. The Indy situation is tough. I would try to, of course, avoid it. But yeah, Tyler Algier and Chuba Hubbard, the guys you should be going for.
Yeah, Tyler Algier is definitely the top guy. The matchup is great against Arizona. We just saw what Leonard Fournette and we've seen what other running backs have done in that situation, in that matchup. Chuba Hubbard, like you said, it's a must-win game. If that game, we know how stingy their run defense could be at times in Tampa Bay. Chuba Hubbard could be a passing down option there. And then Zach Moss, gets that matchup against the Giants, who we know that's to be a good matchup there. The only concern there is that Nick Foles didn't look very good, and so
he looked terrible.
So you're just going to attach yourself to that offense, which could be bad things. But I don't know. You could attach yourself to worse offenses, like maybe the offense led by Carson Wentz, who used to be teammates with Nick Foles. Greg, are you attaching yourself to any Carson Wentz when it comes to the wide receiver position?
I'm got 4 names on this list. One of them being Jahan Dotson. He's 23% rostered. We were saying early in the year, deep down the field, Jahan Dotson was a great option. I think he can be an upside flex, boom or bust wide receiver 3 type option with Carson Wentz. Zaire Hodgins, 2% rostered. I think he's a option that can be kind of hopefully not hopefully, but can take this number 1 receiver role with Daniel Jones. He played very well against Minnesota, great matchup, but I think he can continue to be involved. Greg Dortch, with the injuries all over, the Arizona wide receiver core and their offense in general. He should come back full circle and be used for depth. And then Hunter Renfrow, man, he's back. He's healthy, and coming off one of his best games of the season. He wasn't, very good in the beginning of the season, but with the injuries to, them having and Devontae Adams playing a little off in this game, I think Hunter Renfrow could be used as a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, definitely like those options there. What about tight end, Greg? I know that's a position that we always have trouble at, but if you've made it this far streaming, power to you. But
Yeah.
what are we doing this week? Potential streaming options.
Yeah, I think one, Greg Dolchich, he's right at 50%. So I'll mention his name. Probably been the best fantasy option with the receivers, with the other third pass catcher, with those receivers that have been consistent on the Denver offense. So you got to continue to use him as a streaming option. Zane Zalastra, the Detroit tight end, who's slowly, creepingly uses more and more. His usage routes going up. So he's 0% roster. He's absolutely free. I think for deep leagues, and especially for maybe keeper leagues, dynasty leagues, he could be an ad now because Detroit is in need of a tight end. They're going to use a tight end in their offense always. And Noah Fant, third, 24% rostered. Another week with another touchdown. He's really been hot in that department. Didn't get super used in the yardage game, but he's being used in the offense in a down week. He still was able to find the end zone. So for the offense, continue to play him, and the targets will be there because there's really no one else to throw to.
Yeah, I mean, Dulcich, I think, obviously has going up against Kansas City. There's going to be a need there for throwing the football, given potential game script there. So you should see some targets. Noah Fant, like you said, if there's no Tyler Lockett, there's no, Marquise Goodwin, Noah Fant's going to be in some opportunities here to be, targeted against the Jets defense that has struggled against the tight end position in recent weeks. Shane Zylstra is probably the one that scares me the most, just because of the, a lot of it was red zone usage, but the fact that Goff was able to go to him so consistently around the red zone just shows that there's at least some trust factor there. So I wouldn't hate going after him in deeper leagues.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, that's all we got for waivers. That's all we got for the show. So we will see y'all back tomorrow as we break down Thursday Night Football. I don't even know who plays on Thursday Night Football, Greg. Do you?
No shot. I mean, could find out right now. I mean, yeah, we got the Cowboys and Titans. So get to
Cowboys and Titans.
See Derrick Henry, prime time.
Or maybe you don't see Derrick Henry because will he sit out?
Oh yeah, the Titans are out. Titans are not out, but I guess they're reeling really badly right now. This is the Jaguars' division. So
well, I mean, again, like I said, both these teams, the Jags and the Titans, could just treat it as a bye week, and you just go into the playoffs. Like, all right, playoffs start next week because
it's a play-in pretty much. Yeah,
it's a play-in game.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
See. It's prime time though, so the NFL might be sending out letters if they don't play. We'll see. Amazon paid a lot of money for this.
Bro, I just Googled Thursday Night Football Prime, and it has a 2.3 rating from the audience. Like, I don't know, it's kind of funny.
Whew.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That's right.
Yeah. So. All right, let's get ready to close this one out. Greg, anything else you want to add?
Week, so if we can close strong.
Yeah, strong week so we can close strong. Hopefully, Greg doesn't beat me too bad in our dynasty matchup this week. Maybe he'll show some mercy on me. Just gotta keep playing those mind games. Make sure you stay focused. Go hit the waivers. One more win. So you close this out. 1-0 every week for this week right here. Unless you play week 18. Because that kind of sucks. But we still got you covered. Either way.
Unless you're on the Jaguars and Titans. There you go. Now you have a reason.
There you go. Jaguars Titans, week 18. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all on Wednesday. Have a good one. We are out of here. Peace.
Yeah.